Testing semi-wadcutter reloads. Alright guys, this is an update on the Armscor 1911 GI, and I'd like to share what I found on testing semi-wadcutter reloads. So first let's check if this firearm's clear. Alright. So I went to the gun club earlier today and I shot 43 rounds of semi-wadcutter reloads. For those of you wondering why didn't you shoot 50 or more, that was the only available ammunition in the gun club at the time. So first I fired off a couple of rounds, around 20, everything was fine. Everything was chambering alright, everything was cycling alright when I'd fired it. And here are some clips. Now later on in the firing, I wanted to test out loading the magazines to full capacity. So normally I would fire off 2 rounds at a time only for accuracy and to get that tested bit by bit. However, when I loaded it to full, the feed ramp was already a bit dirty and I started to encounter chambering problems. So the main issue which I found was failure to feed. In fairness to the reloads, I did not encounter any other malfunctions such as failure to extract, failure to eject like stovepipes, and any other more serious malfunctions. So the failure to feeds were the main issue, and these, in my observation, these occurred mainly when the magazines were filled. I tried them with a full magazine with 7 rounds and 6 rounds, and they would occur under the circumstances when they would tend to have failure to feed when the magazine was full and when the feed ramp was dirty. I started to think to myself, maybe it's the ammunition, maybe the crimp wasn't tight enough. But then again, I wouldn't trust that, because when we deal with a semi-wadcutter lead bullet or a Teflon coated lead bullet, we're dealing with a soft material, softer than, let's say, a full metal jacketed bullet which has a harder, which is jacketed by a harder metal. So I believe the lead or the softer material would get pushed back or would dent or disform, as you could see, more easily than the harder jacketed material. Now I tested it. I'll show you a clip. Even with the feed ramp dirty, I tried loading the magazine with 2 rounds only, firing, and they cycled properly. I tried loading it with 1 round only, the magazine, and it cycled properly, which makes me wonder if the magazine is also a considerable issue to the failure to feed problem. With ball ammunition, I've had no problems. With a full magazine, they chamber fine. With a few rounds in it, they chamber fine as well, as seen in my first update. Now, one thing I want to share with you guys regarding semi-wadcutter ammunition is that the 1911, well, the GI, or the standard configuration, was designed to accept ball ammunition. So ball ammunition is, well, it's a cartridge that fires a round nose bullet, and this is enclosed in a full metal jacket. So that's hard metal surrounding the lead. So this one feeds more, I guess you could say it feeds properly in the standard 1911 because it rides the ramp better, and that shell, that full metal jacket, is harder than lead or Teflon, so it just slides and goes through the ramp and into the barrel better. So what I want to show you here is the design of the standard barrel of the 1911. Now, people may have told you guys, oh, I've fired semi-wadcutters, I've fired hollow points and flat nose bullets perfectly fine in my 1911. Now some other people, they may have ramp barrels. This is the standard 1911 barrel. So the ramp of this is actually here below. And when you line it up, looks like that. With hollow points, you potentially have a gap here which can catch and cause a failure to feed. My wadcutters were catching below here, as seen in the clip. So we see here that this is the design which accepts ball ammunition. Some of you guys may have 1911s with ramp barrels, and they look like a Browning High Powers barrel or any modern semi-automatic pistols barrel, like a Glock, a SIG, Bursa or whatnot. They'll have that ramp which sticks down here, and that design is better than this because it feeds other types of ammunition more consistently. I'm not saying it's perfect, it just is a better design when it comes to reliability and feeding ammunition. My conclusions: I wouldn't use semi-wadcutters on the 1911 GI. I wouldn't use reloads as well to save my life because there's that room for error. Now, who would I recommend semi-wadcutters to? If you're a practical shooter, a target shooter, and you enjoy seeing those clean holes on your paper targets, by all means use it. I recommend you use a ramp barrel if you're using a 1911, or a configuration that feeds it consistently. A quick update on the hammer bite issue. You can see a mark here, but it does not hurt at all. This is a big improvement over last time, so that new hammer grinded down by 2mm really helped. This mark you see, I believe, is from the grip safety, which is a little narrow and presses against the web of my hand. It's not as comfortable as a beaver tail grip safety, which is wider and it curves up, it's smoother, it doesn't have any sharp edges pressing against your hand. So this is the result. A big improvement. It doesn't hurt, no pain, no wounds. That's just a mark, but it's perfectly fine. Sayang. Close but no cigar.